episode 69 of the Unscripted Company podcast. Everyone's favorite number. Got Riley, got myself, JK. We're back at you with one of the fastest growing podcasts on the internet. It's been a week. It's always been a week. I always say that for some reason, but every week, man, I don't know if you've been following the Texas legislature this past couple weeks. There's some stuff going on, but let me kick it over to you first. Got a question of the week for us?
I do have a question of the week. Would you rather have a rewind button for life, but only for 5 total presses, so you can only hit it 5 times throughout the entire course of your life? So even if you held all 5 buttons until you're about like on your deathbed, you're like, I want to go back. Or a fast forward button that you can hit anytime, but you can't ever go back.
Okay, with the rewind option, do I get to dictate where I go back to in that rewind?
For the sake of the conversation, yes.
Let's just say the rewind option. I think that's the route to go, because at least at that point, assuming you know how far back you can go, you're not like going all the way back to the beginning. You at least know what has transpired thus far. And I'm assuming this is a reality similar to something like It's a Wonderful Life or that Adam Sandler movie. Was it Click? Is that what it was called?
Yes.
Yeah, the remote. I'm picturing something like that, to where I at least know the events that are going to transpire, so I can take advantage of that in case a wrong decision is made, or, maybe I want to place a maximum heavy levered bet on a sporting event. I can see the outcome of that, or the lottery, something like that, and I can go back and take advantage of that, understanding that there is limited number of times I can do that. Whereas if I fast forward, I don't know always where, I don't know what tomorrow looks like. I mean, I do, because thankfully it's a holiday. It'll be a Monday. It'll be chill. But like most of the time, you have no idea what the future holds. Especially, think about when we started this podcast. Think about how much wild stuff has transpired since then. Now, for you and I on a day-to-day basis, relatively mundane if we were to fast forward, but who knows if you fast forward 5 years into the future, you have no idea what that looks like, What about you, though? You going forward? You going backwards? What's the vibe?
I would say I'm kind of similar. Like, part of me is thinking like, I want to see what the future is like.
I found the ultimate use case. Okay. I don't even know why I didn't think about this. Go back, let's just say 10 years, all your money, Apple stock, all your money, Tesla stock, let it ride. That's it.
Nvidia stock.
Yeah. You could rewind a year ago and invest in Nvidia and be. Exactly. Especially if you had the confidence of, like, if you knew that, yes, Nvidia will go from $50 to like $1,000, right? If you know that's going to happen, wouldn't you just max out a line of credit, some stupid number, and just let it sit? Because you know it's going to happen, right? So why not take out $100,000 worth of credit, turn it into a few million?
That's being generous.
Well, okay, maximum amount of, I don't know. You can levy all your
I'd probably
assets.
$500,000 or more.
Yeah.
Like, why not? It's going. But yeah, I'm probably on the same fence. Like, but the thing is, though, is like, what are the? I don't know, because like, if you go back in time, what are the chances that everything plays out the exact same way?
See, I think that's a question that theoretical physicists question all the time. But in this scenario, I'm assuming the same timeline will occur unless you yourself make a decision change or alter it somehow. And then, like, butterfly effect takes place at that point, where, like, you could honestly just say you put on a different pair of shoes in the morning, and that ends up altering who wins the Super Bowl that year because of the butterfly effect. But I'm assuming for this scenario, everything occurs exactly the same. You're just rewinding the cassette tape, if kids even know what cassette tapes are anymore.
Right.
And you're dropping yourself right back to where you were. And this is also a scenario I'm envisioning. It's not like a second version of yourself in the past. It's the same you. Maybe we'll just, that's a good question. Do you have the same knowledge? Do you have the knowledge of the life you experienced before you hit rewind. But then if you didn't, it's just going to be a copy and paste of everything, right? Like, yes, you have free will and you have the opportunity to technically make different choices, but you're not consciously aware of the need to potentially make different choices if it's an exact.
And not only that, but what if, like, when you hit that rewind button, is it just you that goes back there, or are you going to have a chance of running into you in the past?
No, that's what I'm saying. If this timeline is truly linear, if that's the right term, when you hit rewind, it's like hitting rewind on a VHS or a cassette tape. Like, it's literally the same thing going backwards. And so when play happens, you are you. But the question is, do you have the awareness of knowing that you already experienced the future and that you did hit rewind? Or is it like you hit play on that VHS tape and, you know, the video you see on the screen isn't aware that the future already happened? So in a sense, you could be repeating the exact same timeline. I mean, obviously free will exists. We assume free will exists. Potentially, you know, you might make a different choice, but not because you're consciously aware. Man, we could spend the next like hour and a half contemplating. This is an interesting theory. Like, if you had the rewind option, are you consciously aware that you hit rewind? Assuming that you're not like a secondary version of you going back on an existing timeline where another version of you simultaneously exists. And then you have a whole set of other complications that come with that. So, interesting. So we both think we go backwards in time, basically. Yeah. I feel like that's just the easy option because I like mine. I mean, at the end of the day, you and I and the rest of humanity is relatively selfish, meaning that if you had the ability to go back in time versus going forward, we're kind of both aware that you can take advantage of going in the past to leverage financial, social, cultural gains from that because you know the outcomes of things. Like, I'm picturing, did you ever watch Back to the Future, like that franchise? It'd be like Biff. Biff gets the sports almanac. He knows who wins all the games. And so he's able to make all these bets. He gets it from the future though, but he's aware of, he knows who wins all the games. So yeah, you can place max bets on everything and then ultimately become, they really made him like a Donald Trump character at the time.
Yeah.
So yeah. Man, so before we hit record, I kind of hinted at this afternoon. It was a Sunday as of recording this. Sunday before Memorial Day. Bit of a stressful moment with what was going to be a very simple, subtle house project, installing a peephole in the front door. So this is one of those projects. Some context. I've already swapped out our doorknob and door handle. I swapped it out from like the builder grade, just your simple like circular knob. You know, you just put your hand on and you turn it. Swapped it out for one of those where it's more of like a nice, elegant, like thumb press thing, right? Super simple swap out. But I had to drill some holes in the door for that. That was nerve-wracking, but I nailed it. Measure twice, cut once. Right?
He nailed it.
Right? Kind of, yes. Peephole, somewhat similar, right? I have to drill a big hole. I don't know, maybe about, I think it's like an inch and a half across diameter hole, all the way through a fiberglass front door. Yeah, I drilled through it. The holes on both sides didn't line up exactly. It was slightly, dude. I was so careful too, because what I did was the peephole I got actually came with the drill bit, because it's a pretty massive drill bit that we didn't just have by default. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to drill a small hole all the way through first, because I have drill bits that, you know, they can do the length of or the width of the full door. So I did that a couple times. Started really small, and then I did a medium, like 3/16, and then I was like, okay, time to do the big one. The big one that it came with, it didn't have the length to go all the way through the door, because you end up actually hitting the actual drill on the door itself. So I had to go through one side, go to the other side, and do that. So drilled on the front and the back. But I thought I was smart, and I prepped ahead because I had drilled these small holes all the way through in the center of the circle. Somehow it was still off, and we ended up having to literally get a nail file, like a metal nail file, and like grind out an extension of this hole to make sure that the peephole could go all the way through the door. And long story short, we will be spending our Memorial Day making sure that we can seal up this door, because it's too late in the afternoon or evening at this point to really be concerned with the look of the hole in the door right now. We just had to get the hole sealed up with the peephole, the little glass peephole thing. So I went into this project thinking it was going to be a quick, like 15-minute drill exercise.
Mm-hmm.
No, we got very dark and cynical very fast. And I was like, man, I had done so well in so many other house projects. And I was like, the one where I drill a hole straight through the door, I was like, that's the one you screw up. Mm. So long story short, measure 5 times, cut once. Don't even measure twice. Measure 5 times, and cut once. So how's your day been?
That was good. I didn't have any door projects.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was good. Just another day. Went to church, came home, and was just kind of just hanging around for most of the day. I didn't have any appointments today or anything like that. So
yeah. I've never kind of asked you this. So I'll put you on the spot while recording. What kind of church is it? Is it non-denominational? Mm-hmm. Is there a denomination behind it?
No, just non-denominational.
Yeah. Do they do like worship music? Is there like a rock band upstage basically? Where it's a guitar player, drummer?
It's just bassist. A drummer. Our pastor plays the piano. Their son plays the drums, and he alternates with one of our other church members. And then the pastor's wife, and then another couple that was there when the church first started are the 3 people that do worship. Gotcha. It's a small church, the most like 50 people.
Oh, wow. So it's like small. Where do y'all meet? Is it like in a school building or?
No, it's so the property that my pastor manages, because I work with him in real estate.
Yeah.
And so he manages a property, and so therefore they have the spot up there that we have our church in.
Gotcha.
So yeah.
No, it's just cool. I was just curious. I don't know if I ever really told you this, but I grew up in a church that ended up becoming a mega church. It wasn't a mega church when my family started going, but then ended up participating in like a church plant. And so I'm aware of like small churches starting a church, things like that. I was just curious. I never actually paused I knew it was a smaller church, but I wasn't sure the details.
I prefer smaller churches.
It's more realistic.
I've had my fair share, when I went to a larger church when I was growing up and everything, and it just didn't do it for me. Granted, I was a kid at that time, so understandably, but yeah, now I'm just I prefer just the smaller churches. It's a lot more tight knit. It's a lot, it feels more like a family than a church, and it
feels more like the ultimate goal of what a church is supposed to be. And don't get me wrong, big churches, they do have resources that can help certain things that maybe small churches can't from a financial perspective. But when your parking lot is so large, it requires golf carts to help truck people in and out. That's when it gets a little too big, I think.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. And that's just not something that, I mean, we are planning for growth in a sense.
Yeah.
Kind of like
because you should, because it means it's working, right? Like you do want growth, but healthy, sustainable. You don't want to turn into, I actually don't know the name of his church, but Joel Osteen, his church in Houston. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, they meet in the place where the Houston Rockets play, and it's hold on a second. And it's televised. It's been like that for decades at that point.
That shouldn't be the case, though, just in my opinion. Church, that's not church.
Yeah.
You're lining that man's pockets. That's what you're doing. Well,
here's an interesting thought. So our podcast is ever growing. One of the fastest growing podcasts on the internet. Technically, got to fact check me on that one. It's real. One of the fastest growing. The amount of subscribers we have, it's about the same size as your church if you think about it.
100%.
The amount of people we interact with, at least in a one-way sense, people comment, of course, it's about the size of your church. Kind of a cool thing to think about. It's bigger than a classroom. So
yeah, 100%. And I mean, that's not including TikTok and all that, but
some of those TikToks are randomly taken off. I don't know what it is. People love the fact that Annabelle's coming to San Antonio, or has been in San Antonio.
I guess, man. But if they want to come over here and watch the full length of the content, then they can come over here and watch the full length of the content.
I heard a cat. Did you hear a cat?
That's not a cat.
That wasn't a cat. What was that?
I was checking our TikTok first because
Oh,
I just wanted to see how, because I didn't see how many views that the Annabelle. Okay, well, it's
yeah.
1,800. Oh, our last three have kind of popped off. All right, all
Yeah.
right.
Man, the sweet spot for us, I've noticed, is Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And so, like, what we'll do is, I never really tell you this. I just do it. We we record Sunday night. We upload Tuesday morning. So it publishes at 7 a.m. Central
Mm-hmm.
every Tuesday. And then we'll do a short, or like a TikTok, YouTube short, every Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I try to aim for afternoon. Saturday's typically morning, just because that's when I remember. But afternoon time, because that's when people start to slack off at work or at
Mm-hmm.
school, and they start looking at social media. And so that's when you hit them with some brain rot. But yeah. So I guess before we hop into the topics, I need your help actually deciding which way from my side of the episode tonight, which direction to take, because there's three routes I want to go down, and we don't have time to go down all three. I think I can hit the other two another week if I need to, because they're still very prevalent topics. But I'm curious which one fascinates you the most. So let me preview three routes we can take here. The first one is definitely Texas oriented. So I don't know if you've been following the Texas legislature this year. That's where, for those who don't know, Texas lawmakers, they get together every 2 years, because that's what the Texas Constitution has. They get together every 2 years, and they write and approve and pass laws. And this year, some very interesting laws are getting passed, for better or worse, depending on where you sit. It's very interesting.
I've been seeing a couple of them. Yeah,
It's very interesting. So I have a very Texas-oriented set of topics, both pro and against. So that's route number one. The second route, much more obscure and abstract, is, I know in the past we've talked about the shifting of the magnetic poles of Earth.
mm-hmm.
Well, what if that means something catastrophic is truly about to come? And what if the CIA has been studying this since the mid 20th century? That's route number two. Route number three is a mixture of different topics, some of which includes Google's new video AI generation tool. It's called Veo or Veo. That's come out. Truly terrifying. It is humanly accurate AI video generation, to where you and I literally will not be able to tell the difference between AI generated video and real life video, other than a computer being able to analyze the pixels and be able to tell you the difference. So it's that. Also talking about beef prices and mortgage prices. It's a little more of just current topics all kind of thrown together, in addition to the Harvard Medical School morgue manager stealing and selling organs on the black market. That's Harvard for you. So I have three routes we can go down. I will let you decide, at least from my end. I know you have topics. We'll definitely talk about those as well. Do any of those three routes fascinate you more than the other?
I mean, honestly, we could theoretically hit them all. I mean,
Okay.
a lot of what I have is just like basic updates. There is a Carmelo Anthony update, though.
There is. I remember seeing that this morning. I meant to bring it up, but I was like, Riley's on this. He's in the backyard.
Yep, I am in the backyard.
Also, I think we've talked about this before, but isn't it kind of very dark, but very hilarious that you also have Carmelo Anthony, the basketball player, and you have to wonder how many people have just been Googling Carmelo Anthony, like the basketball player's name, trying to figure out what's going on here. And it's also kind of funny because every time we record, I pull the audio transcript, because I use that to kind of help create video descriptions and get tags and stuff like that. And the platform that we record on definitely thinks we're talking about the basketball player most of the time.
Let's see here. Hold on. I'm trying to see where. So when did this article come out? Because I'm just looking just to see real quick.
Yeah,
okay,
from what I remember seeing, wasn't it something about the charges against him? The maximum penalty got increased, right? It went from a certain number of years to now it's like potentially life in prison.
Well, yeah. So apparently they're going to charge him. They could charge him as an adult. This is just a quick little update that we can get later.
Yeah.
So they're going to charge him as an adult potentially. But also, too, one of the things I didn't know is that when he had stabbed the kid, he fled the scene.
Yes.
I didn't know
I
that.
do remember that. He fled, and then he ended up, I think, I might be misremembering this. From what I remember, he ended up finding the police later on because he did technically turn himself in, I believe.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. One
I
of the
don't think he
updates
realized how bad he screwed up at first. I think he panicked. Kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Should you flee? Probably not. But
Well, apparently he's still. So May 13th was one update. It says apparently he is on track to get it, still graduating. Like he's still going to get his diploma. But then the next update that happened, and I saw something somewhere. I don't remember where I saw that. I heard them say they were convicting him of first-degree murder.
I think that's what I remember seeing. I saw it. Someone posted on Twitter.
Yeah, but I thought the trial wasn't supposed to start until next month, unless
I think that's the charges they're looking for. Like I could be wrong here because I believe the case is. I should Google this before I say this out loud. I'm gonna say it anyways. I think it's the state of Texas versus the defendant.
That's what. Case. Yeah, that's what it's going to be. Yeah, it's
I imagine the state of Texas is seeking murder in the first degree, which in this case, in the state of Texas, isn't the most lenient of punishments.
In my mind, though, again, we've talked about a lot of it, but whether or not there was one or two of them that were attacking you, if that is what happened, again, until they have video footage or anything that shows either or, just get physical and fight back. And then worst case scenario, someone's going to see the fight and stop it. They're not like that. Then nobody dies, and you both probably get disqualified from the event, and there you go. Like simple as that.
Not everyone can think through life in that way, unfortunately.
I guess not, man. But yeah. So as far as we know now, there's just the potential for him to get tried as an adult, first degree murder. He's still apparently supposed to be getting his diploma. So we'll see. The question is, though,
I get it though. Like he should get his diploma if he actually went to class, passed, all that kind of stuff.
But how is he going to get his diploma though?
Is he going to mail it to him?
Okay, I was about to say, because they're going to be like, "Hey, you want to come walk across stage and get your diploma?"
Because I don't even when I graduated high school, I don't believe I got the diploma literally there at graduation. I think they mailed it like a week later.
They gave ours to us like. They didn't give them to us like actually on stage. It was more so like they gave us the little booklet thing, and then we could walk over to the area and get.
Actually, yeah, you're right.
Get ours. Yep. But if you weren't there at graduation, then they would mail it to you at that point. So that's how we got ours.
That's such a weird, like, not to go on this like tangent, but do you remember that? Like, I mean, man, it's been over a decade now to think about, but that last week as like a senior in high school, it's a very weird sensation because at that point that you will be graduating, right? Like like there is an end date to this. You're not concerned about having to repeat senior year once you get to go ahead on grades, but at the same time, it's like you still kind of have to be there, and you technically don't have to go to graduation. But obviously, it's like you worked the last 12 and a half, 13 years, so like graduate. So why not? And like it's like. Historically, it's like one of the biggest moments of your entire life. It's kind of silly to think about when you turn 30, 40, 50, 60 to be like, oh yeah, that was the biggest moment, but it's a huge pivotal moment for a lot of people.
I mean, I have another graduation on Tuesday, so I'm finishing finished biblical counseling, so I'll be graduating in that on Tuesday.
You'll learn how to levitate at the graduation, I think. That's how it works, right?
That'd be awesome. But yeah, no, I mean, honestly, we can go down any avenue that you want. I don't anticipate some of these topics being the one that I do want to talk about is the real estate aspects, but I do want to know more about the AI stuff and like the people that think that something. I want to know what that something is. Like,
yeah, fair enough. I'll start with the AI stuff because that's I can just kind of breeze through it, and then we can circle back on this one in a future episode when more develops from this. I'm going to play a video. So for those of you who are in audio land, highly recommend come back, find the timestamp, watch the video on this. You'll hear it. But kind of spoiler alert, this is AI, but like look at this and tell me if I didn't tell you this was AI, what would your thoughts be?
A girl told me we're made of prompts. Like seriously, dude, you're saying the only thing standing between me and $1 billion is some random text?
honestly, the biggest red flag is when the guy believes in the prompt theory. Like, really? We came from prompts? Wake up, man.
You want to convince me that this perfect condition behind me is the result of ones and zeros? A binary code and nothing more? It makes no sense.
Now,
A nice
pause it.
answer.
If the wording is there, 100%, I know. Because you
Well,
can
yes,
see.
the subtitles give it away a little bit. But
Okay, play it. I want to kind of just look around.
Man, and then he brings up the prompt theory. Yuck. We just can't have nice things.
We're not prompts. We're not prompts.
Where is the prompt writer to save you from me? Where is he?
You still believe we're made of prompts?
Anyone who tells you we're just ones and zeros is delusional. If that's all we are, then why does it hurt when we lose someone?
Vote for me and I'll ban the prompt theory from schools. There's no place for that nonsense in our lives.
For spreading the false theory that we are nothing but ones and zeros, this court sentences you to 12 years in federal custody.
I don't need some prompt god whispering in my ear to tell a story. I write what I want. I have free will, remember that?
I know for a fact we're made of prompts. Deny it all you want. The signs are everywhere.
You know how I know we're made of prompts? Because nothing makes sense anymore. We used to have 7 fingers per hand. I remember it clearly. Now we just have 5 fingers per hand. A girl told me we're made.
to think it only gets better from here.
That's creepy.
It's pretty darn good though, right? Like obviously, like you can look at it, you can like hyper analyze, and you're like, yeah, this is definitely like.
But if
someone
you're
could
just
probably say
watching it just to
CGI.
watch it, then it's like, and that's the thing, dude. It's like we see so many ads now that it's like, who's to say that half those ads aren't just AI generated ads that people are just putting up now?
Yeah, I think we're honestly mere months away from that, because this is like what I just showed you. This is technology that's available to like you and I today.
Yeah, I know we can use it.
Yeah, and it's all through Google. So I don't think we're that far away from your first TV or like just video advertisement using AI from like a big brand. There's definitely companies that already use AI to make commercials. I know Domino's had a big one about a year ago. They used ChatGPT to make it. That's the other thing is this is just Google's version. OpenAI has one called Sora. And I think we talked about this I don't know, maybe like 6-7 months ago on the podcast. So like Google's not even the only one doing this. And I think the big question is, how far off are we from an artificial video causing a war conflict? Not so much World War III, because, but I could see a scenario where, I don't know, maybe you have India and Pakistan going back at it again. I know they're in a ceasefire right now, but what if someone makes a video of like the Pakistani president doing something that, you know, is war related, and you know, there's like weird scenarios like that could pop up. And I don't know if you've seen, I should have pulled up an example of this. There's a new trend of some of these like TikTok pranksters. I say TikTok, they post on YouTube and Instagram also, where they find someone in the wild, like a grocery store or just somewhere like Best Buy, right? And they will get video or a photo of them and then in real time make a video of them doing something, like taking their shirt off or something like this, right? And then they'll go up and confront them and be like, oh, you're the person from the video. You're the person from that crazy video. And they'll be like, wait, what? And they show them the video, and it's a video of that person doing something insane, because they can generate AI video in real time that quickly.
That just...
Let me see if I can find that.
We need a hard reset. That's what we need.
I'm going to see if I can find that real quick, because that was... I didn't even think to save that. It's not good in the sense that, like, you can really take advantage of people. I know I can find it real quick. Let's see here. Yep. Yeah. Okay. Let me share this. I think he definitely drops a couple F-bombs, so if you're below the age of 18, you shouldn't be watching this to begin with, but just want to forewarn on that. So, guy at a store somewhere, he's going to be the one that's pranked here.
Fuck out of here!
Oh, who the fuck are you guys?
You're the guy from the internet, from TikTok. What is he showing you? This is from TikTok. Right?
That's not me.
No, yes it is,
Get
dude.
the fuck out of here.
Dude, it's you. It's you.
Dude, it ain't me. Get the fuck out of here.
Can we just get a picture?
Dude, it ain't me. Get the fuck out of here. No.
I'll just play it one more time. But
Who the fuck are you guys?
You're the guy from the internet, from TikTok. Dude, what is he showing you? This is from TikTok. Right?
That's not me.
No, yes it is.
so, like, this can be done very easily by people who, just have a couple bucks to pay for a premium subscription of something. It's only going to get worse from here, or better, depending on where you sit.
Well, that's the thing, though, is like, we thought, things on the internet were already fake to begin with, but now it's like, this is how rumors get started.
Yeah.
Like
One feature, I don't know if I ever told you this. I'm not going to name the platform. I'll name them if they want to sponsor us later on. But the platform that you and I record this podcast on, it has a feature. So whenever I go into like edit and export the video, I can edit based on the transcript. So like, I can highlight words, delete, and instead of having to like trim a video timeline, I can just trim words, right? And it shrinks it up. But because it does that, it has your voice, it has my voice, it has anyone's voice that's ever recorded on this platform. And I can go in and add words or modify words, and it can use the existing audio tracks of what we've recorded, and it can replace that with our literal voice. So if I said 1, 2, 3, and then I replace it with ABC, I can go in there and it will just use my voice literally and replace the existing stuff. This platform was also very recently come out with the option to take us and turn it into AI video, like a baby version of us, or if we're dinosaurs, or I don't know, you could be a bear.
like baby Trump.
The baby Trump video use the same platform to do that.
Sweet.
Yeah.
No, that's kind of, it's cool, but it's terrifying at the same time.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, it is. So that's my quick AI update. I know you said you wanted to talk about real estate and housing. Do you want to jump into that next?
It's up to you, man.
No, that's fine.
I have some soapbox opinions in a sense.
To set us up with some soapbox stuff here, for those who aren't even remotely aware, the 30-year fixed rate mortgage, which is what probably, I don't even know statistically, but probably about 75 to 90% of all Americans that take out a mortgage, it's probably the 30-year fix. There's definitely a good number that take out the 15-year, but vast majority take out. If you're
Dave Ramsey and you follow Dave Ramsey,
dude, I would if I could. If rates came back down to 1%, heck yeah, I'm taking out a 15-year. But for a 30-year, I mean, most Americans are on a 30-year note. Well, as of this week, as of recording, the 30-year is above 7.5% for the first time in a long time. First time this century, technically. So what do you think?
So, okay. So first off, I'm going to go on the record here because quite a ways back when rates were low, like lower, I should say, I did come out and I said that, hey, I don't like using the whole facade as far as like marry the home, date the rate thing. I don't like using all of that.
Can I say something very controversial? It's a very hot take.
Go ahead.
You marry the home and you get raped by the rate. Anyways, continue, please.
That's fair. In this particular case, in a sense, it's going to make sense when I say this statement right here. You have one chance in your life to lock in a price. You have 30 years to lock in a rate. So by marrying the home, date the rate aspect, it follows that same principle. I kept telling people for months on end, and here's the thing, if you already had an agent, that's fine. But if your agent is not telling you this type of stuff, then you have a bad agent. And there are bad agents out there.
And I'll give you the credit here. I'm circling this with my cursor. This moment in time right here, where it did, in comparison to where it had been in recent history, it did dip down a bit.
It did. Almost a 6.
Yes. I think at one point, I think depending on where you got the mortgage, I think you probably could have locked in a 6 at whatever rate they had. This was about the time you were saying that, though.
Yep.
So I'll give you credit on that.
And I'm going to go ahead and tell people now that the only time you're ever going to see a rate that's lower than where we're at now, or even lower than a 5%, is if you go buy a new build. That's the only way you're going to see a rate, because they're going to offer concessions. They're going to buy your rate down. They're going to pay your closing costs. Like, they're going to offer all these things just to get the home sold.
Yep.
I still encourage you to seek out a professional, though, to work with, because most of the time you're still not going to have to pay their fee. So they're just there to make sure that you're taken care of at the end of the day. But the Fed came out last week, and I know people are not going to like this. They are not lowering the rates at all anymore. The Fed came out last week and was like, hey, get used to it. Like, the rates that you're seeing now, we are probably never going to go. I know they said last year the new norm was or like late last year, early this year was going to be like the new norm was like 5.5 to 6.5%. That's not happening. And we only provide, and I provide the information as the information is provided to us for what we know. But the fact remains that rates are never going to probably go down below 6% ever again. At least now. Like, unless we had like another 2008, which the professionals that I've listened to and that I've talked with and have done classes with and such talk about how, this housing bubble and stuff like that. Someone that I was in a class with last week, put it into ChatGPT and was like, they said that there's no indication of a housing bubble or housing crisis in DFW. And I'm like, okay, well, you only asked it about DFW. Respectfully, we do live in the DFW area. That's why it's your market. That's where you live at. But when you're looking at it from a national standpoint, housing is, they can't build enough. We're still short on housing. But yet they can go build new apartment complexes. They can go build all these other things. There are other key factors that go into it. A lot of people just don't make enough money anymore. Like, there are a lot of people who just don't make the money, and I've emphasized that, and I've talked about that. And I'm not the professional. Like, I am a professional, but I'm not the professional. Like, I'm not the only one who does this. I'm not the only one who studies the market. I'm not the only one who provides information to people. But when we look at all of this and we see what's happening here, we don't know if there's going to be a housing crisis or a housing bubble that's going to burst, because all we know is that if you have two consecutive quarters of negative home sales or lesser home sales than the previous year beforehand, that by definition is a recession. So if we go into June and numbers are still down and the numbers have not come up for the homes sold, technically speaking, our country will be in a recession. And no one ever likes using that word, which is why the Fed has avoided that word, which is why the government has avoided that word, because they don't like using it. They don't want to put fear into people. And I'm not putting fear into anyone. This is based on the people that I have sat down and listened to on what they have said and what they have shown us on graphs and information, things just like this. And they have shown us, and this is actually an app that I actually use, Reventure. Like, I use that app on my phone and my laptop. And so I study what this stuff looks like. And right now, just in our market alone, we have like 5 months of inventory. And so it's technically a seller's market, but it's acting as a buyer's market because of the amount of options that people have. We have not seen a market like this in so long. And I'm not saying it's exactly, because I couldn't even comprehend what the 2007, 2008, and 2009 market was like, because I was in high school and middle school.
Good times.
But right. Didn't have responsibilities. But what I'm seeing now and what a lot of us are seeing now is the housing market is just insane. It is a volatile market right now. But I can tell you one thing, and I will not make a promise on this, because that's one thing that we should not do, is make promises on things like this. But if you are in an area, wherever your area is at, and you talk to a professional, and then you talk to a professional about your finances, which I know can be a very sensitive subject, and they tell you that you can comfortably afford this house in this price range, and you find a house that you really love, and it hits like 80 to 90% of everything you're looking for, which in most cases is going to be every single house that you look at is going to hit about 80 to 90%. Most people are looking for unicorns. I hate to break it to you, but those don't exist. then I would say buy that house. Buy that house. It's going to suck at first because, yes, you are going to have a higher than average interest rate. It's going to suck. But if rates do come down in the future, you can always just refinance and lock that rate in. And there you go. You have the rate that you want. Take it away.
No, yeah, just to kind of follow that up. The betting odds. So for those who aren't aware, there's really two big websites out there that can be used to help track things outside of normal market conditions. You have Polymarket and you have Kalshi. And in this case, we're looking at Kalshi here. Right now, it's showing 43% chance of a recession this year, a by definition recession, which is what Riley was talking about. Odds are increasing with tariffs going into place, with rate hikes expected from the Fed. It's kind of a perfect storm for a recession. Now, at the end of the day, Riley and I are just a bunch of, just casual people having a podcast. So definitely do your own research, but like, it's interesting times out there. It's very interesting times out there. So I don't really have any advice as to what to do in this situation, but just be aware. Be aware of what could be on the horizon.
Do your research, but be mindful about what you are reading. Not every website is going to give you every bit of information. The government's not going to tell us everything because they don't want to incite panic on people. But what I can say is, seek out so here's the thing, the websites that we have, like our association websites, you want to know something funny? That's public information.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyone can go get on the National Association of Realtors website, and anyone can go get on the MetroTex website, which is the association that I'm a part of. And they have an actual portal on there for the consumer. So you can literally go look at all these graphs and all these things yourselves. And I'm not saying that so people will be like, oh, I can just go do all this myself, or I can, I don't have to seek out help, or, or he's doing this just so we'll work with it. I don't care. If you don't want to work with me, that's fine. I'm not everyone's cup of tea. That's okay. But I want people to be educated and knowledgeable about what's going on in our market. And I know a lot of people's finances, things are rocky right now. Everyone's unsure about a lot of things. Everyone's holding on to their money. Just take some advice from the people who have built up millions upon millions and even billions of dollars in wealth, and just kind of take, what they're doing, but on a much smaller scale. Just watch what they're doing. Listen to these financial people because they've done it. They I'm not there, but I still listen to them because I can do it on a much smaller scale. And it's just being mindful, tariffs are starting up. They are hitting, and thankfully Walmart is actually going to be eating some of their costs, and they're not going to inflate all their prices on everything. But when it just comes to everything in the housing market, when it comes to everything in this economy right now, just be mindful and just do some research. And if people want to find me, go look me up on Google, Riley Farrell Realtor. You have my contact information right there. It's all public information.
Literally leave a comment down below and he'll reach out to you.
Yes. I can get your email, send you an email with some information. That's what I'm here to do. If you're looking now, I do work in Texas and primarily the DFW area,
but I want to buy a house in Arkansas.
I have connections.
Okay.
Somebody will know someone. I have people that I know that live in Arkansas, so I can, I have Facebook groups that I'm a part of, so I can put it out there and I can.
What about Alaska?
I don't even know if real estate is how often it's sold up there in Alaska.
It's a pretty cold market, but
But I'm just saying, there's ways to find the information that you're looking for. It's not private information. I'm in a professional field where I do the research on my own. Anyways, enough of that. Let's get on to some more stuff.
No, it's valid.
Yeah.
Do you know why it's important to buy a house?
To build wealth.
Okay, that's the boring answer. The fun answer is because the magnetic poles are moving and you need a house to protect yourself for the impending doom that is headed our way. So, Riley, I don't know if you remember. I don't know if the listeners remember. I don't know, maybe 7, 8, 9, 10 months ago, I
Something like that.
casually mentioned just the fact that this is a legitimate thing that geologists and scientists are tracking. The magnetic North Pole is moving. You can see here in the image where it's been 1600s, 1700s, 1800s, 1900s, 1950, the year 2000, all the way through projections of this year in 2025. So you have two things. You have the geographical North Pole, which is different because that's like the top of our globe, basically. But then you have the magnetic North Pole, which, you know, rumor has it, there's molten lava, iron, things like that inside the Earth's core. It rotates, it spins, it's magnetized, so therefore we have a north and a south pole.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been tracking this over, hundreds of years, basically, much more so over the last 100 years. We've seen this start to drift. Now, I mean, what does that mean? Some people have theories, and the best way for me to try to explain this is a short clip, actually, from Tim Pool via the Timcast.
I think I've seen this guy before.
Yeah, Tim Pool. He's probably like a top 10 politics and culture creator. Check him out on Rumble, YouTube, stuff like that. But I'm gonna click play real quick.
But a lot of people like to say alien, extraterrestrial. But what if it wasn't? What if it's not even that? What if it's the pole shifts? This is one that's getting a lot of attention recently.
It is
because Tucker Carlson did this show, and then of course you have Ben Davidson, and we've done a couple interviews with him. Yeah, they call it the Adam and Eve story. Are you guys familiar with it?
A little bit.
Every 6,500 years, a pole shift happens on the Earth, which flips the planet, creating catastrophic flooding and destroys whatever lives on the surface, most of it. And so you end up with small pockets of humans around the planet trying to recover this great cataclysm every 6,500 years. And so what if what's actually happened is most of the technology is wiped out and destroyed in a great cataclysm, except small remnants are eventually discovered. And then governments start finding it and researching on it. And they're like, what could this be?
Yeah, that'd be just in time for the next year. Again, it's just a repeated cycle.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
Well, because
I hate that idea.
because these theorists think it's happening right now. We had the power outage in France, Spain, and Portugal, which I talked to Ben Davidson. He said it's the weakening of the magnetosphere, which allows solar activity, normal solar activity, to permeate down to the surface of the Earth, which then can disrupt our communications.
Right. Which is what the aurora borealis is, right? It's a visualization of
solar activity
interacting with our magnetic
right, and then it's where it's the weakest, the north and the south poles. That's why you can see it. Do you guys remember when the aurora came to West Virginia?
First of all, I'll pause it right there. Remember when we talked about that? Because there are parts of maybe the tippy top of like the northern part of Texas, but really when you got Oklahoma, just north of there, you could potentially actually see it in the sky. This was something that historically has been reserved to like Alaska, the Arctic. Like you used to not be able to see this stuff all the way down here. And there's a couple more seconds left. I'll click play.
Yeah, go ahead.
Tennessee.
Yeah, and this was what last year or something.
Yeah.
So Google this right now. Like you can Google magnetosphere weakening, and there's stories this year, last year, and the year before about the magnetosphere is weakening in key areas. Mainstream news and science and government says, no, it's normal and it's fine. Adam and Eve theorists are like, the cataclysm is coming, and that's why they're building these deep underground military bases.
So I don't know if you remember, was it 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago? We were talking about these deep underground military bases that were in the budget and that have been built. You have Mark Zuckerberg out in Hawaii building these underground bases. I decided to take Tim up on his challenge, and I Googled magnetosphere weakening. And guess what? Everyone's talking about it because it's actually happening. So that's a concern, first of all. The other thing I thought was kind of interesting, there's been some declassified CIA documents talking about the Adam and Eve story. In particular, a story by Chan Thomas, or Con Thomas. I've never heard his name out loud. I think it's Chan Thomas, talking about how the Earth undergoes cataclysmic events via the pole shifts approximately every 6,500 years, leading to destruction, mass extinctions, and rebirth of civilizations. So, I mean, you can see what I have here on the screen. Take it or leave it, but this is from CIA.gov. This is from literally the CIA's website, cia.gov/reading room/docs/a string of numbers.pdf. And this is the Adam and Eve story by Chan Thomas. And it's literally 57 pages talking about this theory of the pole shifting and the Earth having a fun little reset period. Now, I ask you this, Riley. What are the odds that you and I are alive for this weird moment in history where the Earth is going to be reset?
Now, define reset.
There's going to be mass flooding, mass heat waves, mass cold waves, and unless you're in a lucky part of the world that just so happens to be granted the ability to survive.
Texas.
Dude, I don't know. I mean, I think where you and I are relatively okay. If I'm in Houston, I don't want to be in Houston right now. I think, remember that map?
Yeah. So while you're searching that up, let's see if this will show up. But this was actually, I don't think this was near us. This was actually in Paris. Dana had sent me pictures, or I thought she did. But the Aurora Borealis that happened, this is what part of it, this is what it looked like near Paris.
Yeah.
And so it's like, it was like even some multicolored, and then, yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that's what we saw down here.
So think about humans 6,500 years ago. How would they interpret what they saw?
They would assume that
very doomsday theory, right?
Well, that, but back in those times also, I mean, here's the thing, depending on how, like, being a spiritual faith-based person, I mean, 6,500 years ago, 7,000 years ago, that's, you know, Adam and Eve, and, you know, probably a little bit further back than that, but the idea is...
Wait, hold on. Do you think Adam and Eve was 6,500 years ago?
No.
Okay.
I said that was further back.
Okay.
I'm saying, like,
quite further back.
Yeah, so like you have the BC and the AC, so it's like as we're progressing throughout time. But what I'm saying is, like, way further back in the 1700s, 1600s, 1500s, all those times, people were still very heavily. I don't want to use the term religious because religion is a man-made thing.
Yeah,
but they believed
the Church
in
of
God.
England. The Church of England for sure ruled a good chunk of the world.
Yeah, and they believed in God. Like, that was what they believed in. Now, their ideology about what God was perceived as might be a little twisted because of what they did to people.
Well, because they weren't literate. Only the priests and the Pope.
Exactly.
And,
and so whatever they said or interpreted was what the higher ups essentially went with.
Yes.
So with that being said, the Adam and Eve reset predates anything that we think about because it's based off of what they thought back then. And so what people think now is just freak weather, all this stuff happening. Now, keep in mind, it's not the rapture or anything like that. It's not that, but it does say in Revelations that the earth was destroyed. Well, it doesn't say, I don't know if it says this in Revelations or it was a book beforehand, but earth was once reset by water, destroyed by water or flooding, and the second time it'll be destroyed by fire.
I think that's a good question. I'm trying to remember.
I can't remember if it's actually in Revelations or if it was a book before that they talk about what's to come in Revelations. But anyways, so the different weather types, again, that's why I asked, like, what do you mean by reset? Because when the rapture happens and the world is destroyed by fire and engulfed in flames, that's not a reset. That's just like everything is done.
No,
like, at that point.
When I say reset, I just mean 75% of the population's wiped.
Okay, so
like
so now here's the other question. Then you say 75% of the population is going to be wiped.
Yes.
Okay,
this map, 75% of the population is wiped.
Okay, so then
the biggest cities in our country are wiped. Chicago's gone, Los Angeles, San Francisco, San Diego, New York City, Miami, New Orleans. Did I say Houston? I think I said Houston.
Okay.
Milwaukee.
2 questions. Well, actually, not 2 questions. First of all, what's the island that's to the right?
Atlantis.
Okay.
I don't know.
I'm glad we got that.
It's a landmass.
But it's just it's funny that majority of Texas is still there.
Yeah.
Considering that they're opening a stock exchange.
Yeah.
They're opening, they're trying to bring gambling to Texas. They're, all these things, because you have to look at it. Las Vegas is going to be completely submerged in water.
Yeah.
Did we just crack the code? Did Unscripted Company just break everyone's minds right now?
You have to wonder. I mean, there's a lot of, I don't want to say the eyes of Texas are upon you, because it's, kind of a.
But legitimately, though, speaking, there's so much land that's been untapped in, and not only just there, but there's so much land all the way up Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska, South Dakota, North Dakota, all this land that hasn't been touched yet.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen? What are they planning? What are they trying to do?
Oh, I don't think anyone's trying to do anything at this point. I think it's still just human greed at the end of the day. There might be some people that are aware of what could potentially happen.
Well, my
because
point
you also
being,
have stuff like the Yellowstone caldera volcano could still go off too.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But my point being is it's just funny how they think that something's going to happen, but yet the same people that think that something's going to happen are also the same people that probably are in on all the things and knowing about all the things that are happening in Texas that they're trying to bring to Texas right now.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like that, okay, what's really happening?
Yeah.
So
it's true. That's true. Do you have something you want to talk about? Because I have a segue to Texas if you need a segue.
Segue to Texas?
Yeah.
I was gonna say I have a segue to Texas.
Go
Technically 2 segues to Texas. Well, so here's the thing. We talked about 2 of these last week, so I don't know what this one particularly is. I don't know. Like I said, I don't exactly know which one this is, but hold on, let me see if I can find it real quick. If I can even find it. Okay, so that's a video. Okay.
Yeah, it's definitely a video.
Okay, I thought it was going to be a full article.
Chip, thanks. Severe weather moved through North Texas last night, triggering tornado and severe thunderstorm warnings. The National Weather Service has already confirmed a tornado in Palo Pinto County.
Fox 4's Peyton May joining us this morning in studio with a look at some of the hardest hit areas. Peyton.
Yes, Brandon, there's still more than 1,200 customers without power in Palo Pinto County, which is around 65 miles west of Fort Worth. 2 school districts there, Gordon and Santo ISDs, are closed today. Gordon reporting there's substantial damage on campus and asking students and staff to stay away for safety concerns. Fox 4 viewers from across Palo Pinto County are sending in videos from their experience with last night's storms. Rachel Custon sent in these photos of golf ball and baseball size hail that hit her home in Santo.
Man, we had some baseball size hail the other night.
Damaged power lines and some snapped power poles, which you can see in this video sent in by viewer Heinz Mattern. Now, some viewers witnessed multiple funnel clouds. This video, also from Santo, Texas, shows 2 twisters forming right next to each other. Fox 4 viewer Keisha.
It's like a double rainbow.
Funnel clouds don't appear to merge or fully touch down in the video. The rain was pouring in Santo as
a little love tap.
And Chris Treviso spotted location.
Just the tip.
Black clouds. There's flashes of lightning surrounding the area. Now, Palo Pinto County Emergency Management reports minor injuries in the county. A few people were transported to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Reporting, I'm Peyton May for Good Day.
Police in Plano say that they are investigating an overnight crash that killed 3 people. Just 1 vehicle was involved. Somehow,
this one I think was the same one we talked about last week. I just think it's a more developed story because I remember us talking about a crash last week, but that was this crash.
The driver lost control.
More importantly, though, I was looking into Palo Pinto County. You know, Mineral Wells has the National Vietnam War Museum.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Put some respect
then
on the
into
name.
a concrete wall between Park and Parker Road on Interstate 75. Fox 4's Amelia Jones is covering this for us tonight. She joins us live now with more. Amelia, have the victims been identified yet?
Nope.
Excuse me, Casey. No, the victims have not been identified. Plano police told us this afternoon that they are waiting for the medical examiner's report to confirm the identities of all 3 people who unfortunately lost their lives in this crash. Officers on scene described it as horrific, and investigators are still working to piece together what exactly led up to the crash. Scorched pavement on U.S. Highway 75 near the Parker Road exit is what's left behind after police say a car crashed and caught fire. The crash happened around 2:30 a.m.
So yeah, we don't have to continue that. But yeah, so essentially speaking, they still don't know. But that, I just thought that was weird because like I saw that and it kept bringing that up when I was searching for, just kind of just looking up some stuff from the past week. And I was like, well, I know we talked about a crash on last Sunday.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, but
Dude.
maybe it was another one, but I don't think it was because it's the same exact storyline. So
Palo Pinto County is so interesting. I'm over here like looking at Google Maps, and it's an interesting. It's always fascinating how counties are chosen, and like who gets the honor of that, right? So Palo Pinto County, about dead center in the county is Palo Pinto, Texas. Of course, that's where the county courthouse, the county jail, all that fun stuff. That's where that's all located. That makes sense, right? But it's also interesting because this is one of those counties where the biggest city in that county isn't actually the county seat, because Mineral Wells sits in Palo Pinto County. And for those who aren't aware, Mineral Wells is kind of legendary. A lot of big Hollywood stars used to go there back in the day because of the natural spring water that's found in Mineral Wells. Literally the name Mineral Wells comes from this. There was a famous hotel there. They have crazy water comes out of there, if anyone's familiar with that. You had these, like back in the heyday of Hollywood, like the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, some of these A-list celebrities would come out to Mineral Wells and they stay at the hotel because they believed in the healing waters of Mineral Wells. It's just very interesting that Palo Pinto County, home of the National Vietnam War Museum in Mineral Wells, the county seat itself, Palo Pinto, super tiny. Like, look at this. Like, there's 10 streets in the county seat here. Kind of crazy. I don't know. Weird fascination myself. I love looking at small towns.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, sometimes like do you ever just like browse Google Earth aimlessly and just like look at small towns, see what's going on?
I don't know. Like maybe sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, it just depends. I mean, some towns are just like, I'll be honest, there are some towns that are small. And then I remember Cooper, Texas. And then I'm like, that's a small town. And that town is not getting any bigger. Like
Cooper, Texas. Let's go down that rabbit hole real quick. Cooper,
like,
Texas.
hold on. Let me actually see. Hold on. Let me just look up something.
Cooper. Not to be confused with Cooper Tires. Northeast, so it's north of Sulphur Springs, south of Paris. Jim Chapman Lake. Good sized little lake going on here. They have a Dairy Queen. Cooper has D's. Oh, it's a train station? Oh, it's a comfort food place. Quality food, quality service.
I actually haven't been there.
903 area code.
So I can tell you, hold on.
Oh,
So
speaking
that's
of
the
Delta,
square.
Delta's
Okay, hold
bad.
on. Yeah, so that's the square right there, Delta. Okay, so go down a bit.
Can do.
Okay. Okay, so keep going, slow down. Go back up just a tad bit, scroll in. Keep scrolling in.
The Delta Funeral Home?
No, so
Why do I keep seeing the name Delta? What's up with Delta here?
It's Delta County.
Oh, that makes sense.
Okay, so look at the corner of so where Sherman Avenue is at, down south. Okay, now you said southeast 3rd Street.
Southeast 3rd Street. Boom. Sherman.
Okay, now go over one more to southeast 2nd Street.
Boom.
Okay, and that house that's in the bottom right corner.
Bottom right corner.
No, not that corner. No, up.
This. Right here?
So,
this right here?
Move your cursor down and to the left. Down one more.
This.
That's the house that's right below that one. One up.
This one.
That one right there. That's my grandmother's house.
Oh, so everyone listening right now, you want to go to 750 Southeast 2nd Street? Hit her up.
And
Tell
my
her-
parents lived there too with her.
Tell her old Unscripted company sent you, but don't give them any context. Just say.
So
anyways,
here's the funny thing: my uncle lives in the house right above that, or he owns the house right above that one, and then they live in the one that's right across the street from that one.
See, that's the thing, man. If you get property in some of these small towns, you can hit the lottery sometimes.
Well, I'll be honest with you, man. That town, from what my parents tell me, that town is like, you talk about like some small corrupt towns.
Oh, I
that
believe
town
it.
has got some issues that
I believe it. You're really not that far from. I say you're not there, but like, really not that far from hitting into Dallas. You got Commerce. Commerce is college town. You got A&M Commerce there.
That it's about to get to my parents' place from there. If I go from
Oh, you just take 380 all the way out there.
not anymore.
Oh, wait.
I don't.
So
Not
when
with
you-
that construction.
Oh, how do you get there then?
So take 35 through Corinth, Louisville,
Oh,
and
do you go
then
up?
Sam Rayburn all the way up to McKinney, and then hit Print because I can miss all that construction that they're doing. They hit
Oh,
Princeton,
get
Greenville,
you,
Commerce,
yeah.
and then Cooper.
I saw a thing. Princeton, Texas, fastest growing city in the United States.
It is, and they had to slow down on that growth too
Yeah.
because they didn't have the infrastructure.
They're like, yo, we ain't got water, electricity for you. You need to slow your roll.
Yeah. So seems like
That
a
makes
good
sense
place to
though.
be.
Dude, it's crazy how big DFW's getting.
Yeah.
Also, how many lakes they have.
Yep, you have one,
Very
two,
underrated.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Austin
7.
has one lake.
Yeah. And the thing is, though, is like they don't look that big when you're just kind of looking at them.
No,
right
they're
there. They don't-
big.
But they're
big.
massive.
They're big. Here, let me be smart about this.
I like how we literally got off on a Texas tangent.
Unscripted company. Here, let me be smart about this so no one can see my exact address because I have a start on the map. So, like, just for context here. So, if we look at Austin, Lake Travis, this is like the lake in Austin, right? Looks kind of big, right? It's Colorado River, it looks big. But then, like, okay, so keep in mind, mentalize the size of this, right? Now look at Dallas. There's like 6 of those. Now look at Austin.
I mean, look to the east though. I mean,
over here,
like Angelina National Forest. Like no, like
up here.
Yeah, like there. Like,
yeah. Well, yeah, but that's water for like Nacogdoches and Lufkin and heck, part of Louisiana over here too, because this is the border.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I think is it this lake? I think this is the lake that's like the only natural occurring lake in Texas.
Wait, hold on. I am so confused about something. Hold on.
Yeah.
So Louisiana has a Nacogdoches also?
Natchitoches.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, wait a second.
No, yeah. So there's a fun fact. There's a rivalry here. In Nacogdoches, you have Stephen F. Austin State University, right? And then in Natchitoches, I think is a Southwestern State University. Northwestern State University. And they have a football rivalry. It goes like back to like a grandparents' era, basically.
Okay.
Yeah. So fun little facts.
Yeah. No, Dallas is indeed a big place.
Yep. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Well, maybe to round us out.
I was like, take it away with whatever you have left.
Talking about Texas.
About Texas.
Look. Texas. Those of you out there in Texas. How do I even frame this without sounding crazy? We gotta get our shit together, guys. Look. Texas legislature meets every 2 years. State Congress, State House, State Senate. They're the ones that actually pass the laws, create the bills, all that fun stuff. Everything also stops at the governor's desk. So, any bill that gets written into law, governor has to sign off on it. It's kind of a benefit, I guess. Texas is looking to ban all THC products across the board. Got a write up here from the Texas Tribune, one of the better state news websites, news sources, saying Texas is poised to ban all THC products in the state, including vapes, gummies, and drinks that provide consumers similar effects to marijuana. The proposed law, Senate Bill 3, would ban consumable hemp products that contain any synthetic cannabinoid, often known as Delta-8. Non-intoxicating and non-psychoactive CBD or CBG would remain legal. People found in possession of a product with those intoxicating cannabis compounds could face a fine of up to $500 come September. Higher fines and jail time would be possible for repeat offenders. Only Texans approved to use medical marijuana for certain conditions would be able to use low-level THC prescriptions. A separate proposal could expand access to the limited medical program. The proposed bill is in the final stages of its legislative process, with lawmakers taking largely procedural votes. Governor Greg Abbott, who could veto the legislation, has not made public comments. The ban has been one of fellow Republican Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick's top legislative priorities. I don't understand why Texas is doing this. For those who have been to Texas, there's like a loophole, Delta 8, Delta 9, all this fun stuff. But what's wild is like there are states around Texas, Oklahoma included, that have like legalized aspects of this. And Texas is just, for whatever reason, I have my theories. I don't even use anymore, which is the wild part. So I shouldn't even be this up in arms. But I think it's just ridiculous that we are this locked down on this idea of like criminalizing all of it. So much so that, and you probably see this because of in DFW, Dallas, maybe Fort Worth, I forget.
Mhm.
They have these laws, and I know in Austin too, where they decriminalize certain amounts.
Yeah,
right.
Benton County did the same thing too, I think.
State of Texas is coming after them. State of Texas, in particular, came after the city of Austin, trying to outlaw how the city of Austin had a law in the books decriminalizing small amounts of marijuana. Basically, if you had like, it might say in this article, was it like under an ounce, I think, something like that. Basically, if you didn't look like you had the intent to sell, they weren't gonna. It was basically gonna be like a misdemeanor, like a traffic ticket, speeding ticket, nothing too crazy. But I don't understand why the state of Texas is taking this weird, archaic approach to this. I think we've talked about this maybe on the podcast before. I've talked about this with some other friends too. It's like Texas could be very strategic about the legalization process here to help economically. So much more so than other states. Like we could wipe Colorado off the map if we wanted to when it came to the economic benefits of being a growing state. And what I mean by that is being the state that is able to produce the product to be sold elsewhere, even. And when you look into it, like hemp, even just hemp alone, we have like literally the ideal growing conditions in South Texas to grow hemp. And it just baffles me that we have become so hard-lined on this in very recent history. Now, my theory on this, I think the alcohol industry has been lobbying very heavy into this because anyone who's been following this industry, marijuana in general, as it becomes legalized, it actually hurts the alcohol industry because people are turning away from alcohol to marijuana, alternative things like this, because at the end of the day, it doesn't have calories associated to it. Whereas like alcohol, yeah, you can get Miller Lite. Yeah, you can get Michelob Ultra, but like you're still consuming minimum 100 calories per can, right? Now, yes, there are downsides of the other. Some people, I don't want to use the term schizophrenia, but they get anxious. There are some negative side effects. Don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't understand why we're so hard lined on this.
I'm kind of similar standpoint as you. You know, as someone who in the past did. Granted, I was your above normal usage or average usage. I don't know how you really want to phrase that. But I agree in the fact that I think that they need to get with the times. The times are here. Every state that surrounds us has it legalized. I think besides Arkansas, but every state that surrounds us, I think Louisiana has it. New Mexico and Oklahoma all have it. I think when it comes to that, and then Colorado, technically, if you count that corner, but yeah, we're in the prime location that if it was going to happen, it should happen. I know a lot of it just has to do with, age ranges too, because considering our Texas legislature is comprised of a lot older demographic, that they feel that it's in everyone's best interest to not do it. Although it does have significantly better benefits than cigarettes, alcohol, any other hard drug. I know people talk about it being a gateway drug, but that's only if you allow it to be a gateway drug.
Well, what baffles me, I'll try to just narrow this down to the silliest of comparisons. In the state of Texas, we have drive-through beer barns.
Yep.
But we're about to outlaw THC across the board. But yet you can drive through a beer barn.
I have one right down the street.
Yes, it's a very reputable business, kind of legendary in its own right. But I'm just like, yo, what are we doing here? And so Dan Patrick, Lieutenant Governor, this past week actually put out a video about this.
Proud to be Lieutenant Governor. There's an important vote coming up for the members of the Texas House. Many of you are watching this video, and many of you are concerned about THC, how it's being sold to school children all across Texas.
First of all, what? There's not like an over concern about this being sold to school children. Let's be real. No more than like Zen packets being sold to school children.
Right.
Poisonous THC, no regulations whatsoever. No one knows what's in it, and it's more powerful, as you'll hear a little bit later in this video, than you could buy from a drug dealer on the street. Look at this map. Just in the last 3 years, over 8,000 plus smoke shops and vape shops have opened up in Texas. It's now an $8 billion industry. And where did they open up? Within 1,000 to 2,000 feet of schools. They're poisoning our children. And we must ban THC. We can't regulate it. We don't have enough police to check every store when there are 8,000 to 9,000 of them. And to put this in perspective, we only have 1,100 McDonald's in the state of Texas, 1,300 Starbucks in the state of Texas. So there are 8 times more.
Caffeine is a psychoactive drug. I will pause and say that. I consume coffee literally every day of my existence, but caffeine in and of itself is a psychoactive product.
To be fair, caffeine's more addictive than that is. Like, and he's saying like, we don't know what's in it. It's exactly what you're saying it is, THC. I can't remember that. I can't remember the act, like what it says out, like
it's a chemical compound.
But it's a chemical compound. And I'll be honest with you, like how many other plants are probably out there that also probably have psychoactive effects? They just no one's been bold enough to grow it, roll it up, and smoke it. I'm just saying, like, so are you telling me that you're going to ban a plant?
That's what they're saying.
Smoke shops selling this poison. This is what author of the bill, of Senate Bill 3, Charles Perry, had to say, and Democrat Cesar Blanco from El Paso.
This industry, by design, says they're all about age gating. They don't want 18 to 21s to get it. But if you look at the map and where they set up 8,000 plus distribution centers, they targeted walking distance of every school they could. These people are not good people. They're evil. They don't care. It's all about the bottom line.
When you look at the data, the Texas Poison Control Network reported a 495% increase in marijuana-related calls involving children aged 5 and under between 2017 and in 2022.
He's saying percentages. I want raw numbers. Because if it went from 0 to 1, that's a 100% increase, you know?
In 2017, before Texas deregulated hemp, those calls made up 4.8% of all cases.
As you can see, this was a bipartisan bill in the Texas Senate supported by almost all the Democrats and all of the Republicans. And part of that was of the emotional testimony that they heard. Heartbreaking what's happening to these families by these 8,000 plus smoke shops around our schools selling this poison to kids and adults.
Joshua brought a product called Wedding Cake Delta 8, which caused him to have a psychotic break. The voices in his head told him to go to LA to save God's children. He was suffering.
Dude, I just like, look, I understand some people do potentially have a negative reaction to some stuff like this, but like, this is not like we're selling methamphetamines, like in like corner stores. Like we're not selling. Anyways, I'll play.
He didn't understand what was happening to his brain. And he stepped in front of a train in Pecos, Texas. He was 22 years old.
Also, I'll say this for the record because I've thought this my whole life and I'll stand by it. People who get hit by trains, you can see a train literally coming from a mile away. I understand accidents happen, but like you can literally feel a train coming a mile away. If you walk in front of a train, that's not an accident.
But they're gonna blame it on. the THC and all that. But I'm like,
but yet T-Pain says you can blame it on the alcohol. But like you know,
I'll be like, well, here's the thing though. It's like, so I'll be honest with you. So that wasn't like that. If that was Delta 8, like I don't know if you can really say that that's the same as just traditional marijuana.
It's not. But also, I don't know. Did this kid eat like a bajillion milligrams of something?
Exactly.
Maybe. But like
she said, all he had was just that. But it's like,
but you don't drink a whole bottle of Jack Daniels when you buy it.
That's my point. Is like they want to continue allowing alcohol to be here and people doing the things that they do, but then you want to get rid of this, and it's like alcohol has just as many negative effects on a person as anything else that you consume on a regular basis. And I'm witness to that. I bartended for 10 years. Don't tell me what I don't know when these guys probably never even stepped foot in a bar almost half their entire lives.
I had to pick up my son from a psych ward.
Notice how they cut. There's like time cuts in here. I don't know if you picked up on that.
Yeah.
A son from a psych ward. From there, we spent the night in a hotel room. And for the first time in my life, I experienced being afraid of my own child.
My son Francisco is addicted to THC. Due to this, he suffers from cannabis-induced psychosis. He's currently taking antipsychotic medication and is struggling every day with his mental health and probably for his rest of his life.
And now I want you to hear from what the professionals, the doctors, law enforcement, and even students had to say.
Oh, because they're
They are
professionals.
candy, cookies, chocolates, chips, and flavored vape products, and it's entirely up to the retailers whether they decide to sell them to children.
I've seen young people become addicted to these products and experience suicidal ideation, depression, and anxiety disorders, which they never had before.
Adults buy them and give them to older high school students who distribute them to younger students. Youth use of cannabis-derived products has become the norm at my school, where I see 15-year-olds using them in the bathrooms during class.
But isn't this the same problem of like someone buying a case of beer for
Yep.
like this is
Also,
this is
too,
not a
I'm
new
just going to say
problem.
right now, I don't think he wrote that himself.
No, definitely not.
And I'm also too going to. You don't get addicted to marijuana.
Not like the way they're saying you do.
Not like the way they're saying. I quit like cold turkey. I quit, and then they're like, so like when I initially quit, it was soon after I stopped working at Applebee's. Like I kind of just quit. I had withdrawals, of course, but I quit, and it was not hard to do.
Yeah.
When there were a couple instances where I kind of smoked again here and there, but it was mostly edibles. Honestly, I
Yeah.
got to a point where it was mostly edibles. There was a couple instances where we went to go visit her brother in West Texas, and we went to New Mexico. I bought stuff, of course. Came back, and all that stuff lasted like a month and a half, 2 months, something like that. I didn't buy like a lot, but it was enough to last a decent time. And then I quit. I quit. I was like, okay, cool. Like I don't really need it, And again, I had minor withdrawals at that point in time, but it was never something I was severely addicted to. Now, I'll be honest, a lot of why I did it back then, looking back now, was to fit in It wasn't because, but it had a hold on me though, because it gave me something that a lot of the people that I knew couldn't give me, and I felt like I belonged. I don't need it. I think there's definitely stressing, because here's the thing. Notice how we only heard from the parents or the people that were around it but didn't do it. Let's talk. Let us hear from the people who you picked up from a psychiatric ward. Let us hear from the people who suffer from mental illness, all this other kind of stuff. I can promise you that does not cause that. Like, I'm not a scientist, but I know that.
There's other things going on there.
There's other things that are going on there that you're not addressing, but you're using that as the scapegoat for what's actually happening in your child's mind and in their brain. And they felt that the only way to escape that was to do that. So now you're blaming it on that for the reactions that they were having from doing it.
Yeah.
How about you just listen to your child when your child cries out for help in something, or you notice the signs? But like, it's just like your kid could go smoke cigarettes and join up with a group of people who smoke cigarettes, but then you're going to blame it on the cigarettes, but you're not going to actually acknowledge what's actually going on with your child.
Yep. So, man, that was only half the video too. Long story short, though, the bill got passed by the House and the Senate. Yeah. It's headed to Governor Abbott's desk for signature. The one interesting thing is the state of Florida actually tried something similar not too long ago, and Governor DeSantis, governor of Florida, actually ended up vetoing the bill. So there's still a chance that Greg Abbott may end up vetoing. There's a pretty legitimate case for a lawsuit in the event that this passes, because you have, like they said, thousands of businesses that would be put out of business overnight if this were to pass. And so there's a pretty significant lawsuit that probably would occur in the event that this were to pass. So I'm not saying that this stuff should be unregulated. I think it should be regulated. Like, I think it's smart to regulate it, just the same way we regulate alcohol and tobacco and things like that. But I think it's a very naive and poor decision to have a prohibition on it. I think our country, not even our state, I think our country has learned its lesson multiple times about the prohibition of certain vices. The most prominent one being what we call prohibition, the outlaw of liquor and alcohol in the early 20th century. And I feel like our country learned the lesson on that one.
Right. And coming from someone who has done regular marijuana, CBD, and Delta 8, Delta 9, Delta 10, all those when they came out with them, again, years ago, the effects that you get from traditional marijuana, THC, and this isn't, I've done some strong stuff. Like, I've done some things that would make me question myself as to like, what the heck is going on right now. Delta 8 through Delta 10, all that kind of is nowhere near as psychoactive as what people are making it out to be.
Yeah.
Traditional marijuana, I get that. If you want to ban that or even just heavily regulate that in the state of Texas, I get that. Because that should be something that no child should get their hands on. That should be a strictly like adult, like you can make your own decisions. There's a reason why. Just like alcohol. But Delta 8 and all those, again, Delta 8 should be 18 years old or older, essentially.
Just make it 21. Just make it just like
or
alcohol.
Even
Why
21.
not?
Like, I know there were some things that they were talking about trying to make certain things 25.
Yeah.
I think it was like getting your handgun license, buying cigarettes. I'll be honest with you. I know people may not agree with this hot take. I'm okay with that. If it means that it allows people to get it at some point in their life, I'm okay doing 25 years old. At that point, someone is cognizant enough to make their own decision to go buy it. If you're not cognizant, again, if you can go join the military and fight in a war, you should be allowed to, but again, if it's regular marijuana, regulate it. Cool. By all means, do that. Have a regulated market for it in Texas, whatever the best way that you can, even if it's just medicinally. Cool. By, whatever means you have to go through. But I can tell you right now, as someone who has done that stuff in the past, and has not touched it in 4 years, 5 years, something like that almost, it's not as bad as traditional marijuana. It's not. And the strains that they come out with now are so much worse. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So.
Well, cool. I mean, that's all I had, honestly. I think in terms of topics that are worth bringing up for this week.
I can talk about the other stuff next week. It's
all good. It's all good. Well, to kind of send us out, I mean, by the time this gets uploaded, it'll be the day after Memorial Day. But you got any Memorial Day plans, or just a kind of a typical day for you?
No, I don't have any appointments right now. I'm just kind of getting the week, getting things going for the week. I didn't really do anything today to kind of set myself up for that, but it'll just be getting whatever going for this week. I'm going to try to get some appointments. I got some people who, again, they seem pretty serious. We'll see what happens. Hopefully with any luck, but yeah, there's not really a lot going on.
Well, cool. Well, for those of you that made it to this part of the episode, first of all, thank you. We appreciate hanging out with you. If you haven't done so yet, go ahead, give the episode a like. If you made it this far, I hope you liked it. If not, be honest with us. Let us know. If you haven't followed or subscribed yet, do that. Also, hit us up at unscriptedcompany.com. You can find all the different links, YouTube, Rumble, TikTok, etc. You can hit us up there. Riley, you want to leave us with some words of wisdom?
Stay safe during Memorial Day weekend. Don't drink too much. I saw a lot of people over the course of the past day or two buying coolers, taking their boats out to the lake and everything. You know, be safe, stay safe. And as far as the housing market, just to reemphasize again, if it's the right time for you, do it. If it doesn't make sense, don't do it. Like, don't be house poor. Don't do that. And yeah, other than that, what about you? You got plans for Memorial Day?
No. Gotta go to Lowe's and get some stuff to fix the front door.
Oh yeah, that's right. So you do have plans.
Just some house stuff. I might mess in the yard. Dude, I'll talk about this next time, but like, I've been so active maintaining our yard. Like, I am Hank Hill. I have hit peak aura of Hank Hill, and
you got to sell propane and propane accessories.
Man, if I buy a grill, probably. I don't know. It might be a charcoal grill. I don't know. Let's see what happens.
But otherwise, stay safe. We'll see y'all next week.